passing, people do these little pranks, and that was just too out of the ordinary for me to believe.
Aaliyah's death has always been a mystery to everyone. Some people believed it was just an accident, while others believed there was foul play involved. But you know one person who never believed Aaliyah's death was an accident? Her close friend and work partner, Missy Elliot. And she's finally spilling the tea on what she believes really happened to Aaliyah. Missy and Aaliyah were very close before Aaliyah passed. They had collaborated on a lot of music together. In fact, it's easy to say that Aaliyah made some of her best music when she collaborated with Missy Elliot and Timbaland. Aaliyah and Missy met when Aaliyah was working on her sophomore album, 1 in a Million. You might not know this, but Missy wrote more than half of the songs on that album, including hit singles like 4-Page Letter, If Your Girl Only Knew, Hot Like Fire, and 1 in a Million. Missy and Aaliyah had a good working relationship. They even worked together right up until Aaliyah passed. One of the last songs Missy wrote for Aaliyah was I Care For You from her third self-titled album. Even though they worked closely together and had a good relationship, sometimes Missy and Aaliyah didn't always get along. In fact, just before Aaliyah died, Missy and Aaliyah had fallen out and weren't speaking to each other.
Unfortunately, we weren't talking when she passed. She wasn't talking to Timbaland, or I think her and Missy fell out as well.
But even though Missy and Aaliyah weren't speaking at the time of Aaliyah's death, her death still devastated Missy a lot, and she was one of the few people who publicly expressed how shocked they were by Aaliyah's death. And that's not surprising considering they were practically sisters. At least Missy considered Aaliyah like a little sister. She spoke about their relationship while paying tribute to Aaliyah a year after she died, saying, "Our relationship went beyond the work we did together. We felt we had created a new sound, but it wasn't like we just did records and that was it. It was more of a family vibe than just work. We could tell each other anything." She also paid tribute to Aaliyah on what would have been her 44th birthday. She said, "You will forever be the blueprint of what it means to step outside the box musically and create new style and fashion and a natural at acting and being great at them all. The world will always feel your impact and love you share forever." And even to this day, some people don't believe Missy was that close to Aaliyah. People were not buying that heartfelt tribute Missy paid Aaliyah, and they were quick to remind her that they were not in good terms when Aaliyah died. One person commented, "Are you going to address the fact that y'all fell out before she passed?" Another person straight up said, "Y'all didn't even like each other." Now, it's clear a lot of people believe that Aaliyah and Missy didn't like each other before she passed, and you know what they say, there is no smoke without fire. At least it means that something happened to cause their fallout. And whatever it is took place the time when Aaliyah got into that plane crash. But interestingly enough, Missy actually never addressed the rumors surrounding her and Aaliyah's relationship ever, not even after all these years. And there have been very wild conspiracy theories that Missy has something to do with Aaliyah, which honestly doesn't make sense. Aaliyah was Missy's biggest collaborator. Aaliyah's death did not help Missy's career at all. It actually did the opposite. It did a lot of damage to it. So it doesn't make sense that she would have had anything to do with Aaliyah's death, but it makes more sense for her to know the details of what actually happened to Aaliyah since they were so close, and Missy was one of the first people that was called when Aaliyah passed. But what's weird about it is that Missy didn't believe Aaliyah was actually dead when she was told about it.
Once I started getting the phone calls kind of back to back, I started realizing like something must be wrong. Maybe she's not passed away, maybe, something.
Missy definitely knew something that made her convinced that there was more to Aaliyah's passing than just a plane crash. But before we get into that, let me give you some context about someone else that might know more than what they're letting on. Barry Hankerson, Aaliyah's uncle and manager. Okay, so Barry founded Blackground Records in 1996, specifically with the goal to sign Aaliyah. At the time, Barry was R. Kelly's manager, and he used his connection with Kelly to get a record deal for Aaliyah, as multiple record labels refused to sign her due to her young age. Aaliyah was just 12 years old when Barry set up a meeting with Kelly and had Aaliyah sing for him.
My manager, who's her uncle, told me to go up to Detroit and hear her sing. Once I got up to Detroit, I didn't have to hear her sing because she was growing. I knew she had it. As soon as she started singing, that verified it. And from there, we became here. And everything is all good.
Now, after this, R. Kelly became Aaliyah's mentor, and he helped her write and produce her first album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. Now, we all know that Aaliyah was basically groomed by R. Kelly. Kelly obtained a fake ID that he used to illegally marry Aaliyah because he believed Aaliyah was pregnant and feared he could be prosecuted. And according to several reports, Aaliyah's uncle Barry knew what Kelly was doing to Aaliyah, but he didn't do anything. And get this, after Aaliyah died, Barry Hankerson filed a wrongful death suit, and according according to former Blackground Records associate Ayatollah Marv, Barry received a $90 million settlement.
When Aaliyah died, I was with Barry when Aaliyah died for a wrongful death. He got paid $90 million for her death. Am I supposed to say that on TV? Sue me. I ain't got nothing. So I was with him on the negotiations. You know what I'm saying? Blackground Records. He's married to Gladys Knight. Wow. So he had Timberland, Genuine, Missy Elliot, and Aaliyah is his niece. You know. Oh wow. Aaliyah's his niece. So he got a settlement for $90 million for her death.
Was that just for his rights or whatever he owned?
What she would have been able to make if she hadn't have died.
Aaliyah certainly had a very bad experience in the music industry because she was surrounded by all these grown men who were using her for their gain. But if there is one thing Missy is sure of, it's that her death wasn't an accident. And she might be right because so much evidence points to foul play. After the plane crash that led to Aaliyah's death, so many reports came out that the small plane had exceeded its maximum weight limit by several hundred pounds. The pilot of the plane reportedly had a fake license, was probably drunk, and was on a lot of hard substances at the time of the accident. But the heartbreaking part was that Aaliyah didn't want to get on the plane and she had to be knocked out to make her get on the plane. According to Kathy Iandoli, who wrote the book Baby Girl, better known as Aaliyah, Kingsley Russell, a 13-year-old boy whose family ran a taxi and hospitality business in the Abaco Islands, and his mother drove Aaliyah and her team to the airport, and he saw everything that happened that made Aaliyah get on that plane. And he said when Aaliyah saw the plane, she refused to get on board and went back in the cab. But someone from her team tried to make her go back, and when she refused again, she was given a sleeping pill and fell into a deep sleep. And Aaliyah was carried from the taxi and onto the plane while she was still knocked out, even though she didn't want to go. It's not just Missy Elliot that believes Aaliyah's death was suspicious. Even Mary J. Blige at the time said there was foul play involved and she felt she was next. She said, "It was just that when I saw her die, that's when I discovered the fact that I'm next. I don't know how or when, but I'm next. I don't know what kind of freak accident they're going to put me in or what kind of overdose they're going to sort out, but at the end of the day, I knew I was next. I just thought, I'm scared." Reacting to this, one person said, "I honestly feel as if the clues are there. There are many suspects and the list is huge. These men all wanted her, not only Timbaland, but many. She had that charm that everyone would fall in love with, and as a woman being heavily desired at that age was scary to her. She also had her enemies and fake friends that she didn't know who she could trust, so she fell back from all and decided to focus on her career and finding peace within herself. These big time men wanted her, and if they couldn't have her, no one could. Certain women wanted her spot, so they did things to try to trip her off her game. She couldn't trust anyone but her team. However, there were snakes in there too. Who takes an unconscious woman onto a plane without her knowledge? That's just wrong. Who slipped her a pill? Who took her original plane that was given to her by Lenny Kravitz? Who gave the okay to the pilot to drive that plane on drugs and on alcohol? Why were they so adamant on getting her on the plane she refused to get on? I feel like her case should have been reopened. Her uncle was paid $90 million for her death. Why are all these people afraid and keeping quiet about this stuff? Call up all of them and let's see how it plays out. Ooh, this whole thing is crazy, but I'd like to know your theory on what really happened to Aaliyah. Do you think they're telling us all they know, or is there something else being left out? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.